Hello anybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Legacy. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb, and in the last episode, we entered Castle Hamson and died a few times. Sir Lee, Sir Grey, and Lady Antoinette all died. And in today's episode, we're gonna head right back in with our newest heir, who I have not picked yet. So, for this choice, let's go to Lady Stephanie. Mage, spellcaster, dwarfism, so she's really small, and she gets a chakra, which is actually really useful, if you ask me. Now, we actually got a lot of money when we ended the episode last time, so we can afford to make a few upgrades. Let's make equip up, which makes it so we can carry more stuff. The thing about armor and equipment in this game is that it will be good for you, but it is increasingly heavy, and in order to use the best stuff in the game, you need to increase your equip up drastically. Now, we also want to get the Enchantress, who really helps with buffs and stuff. Yep. Empower your body with magical runes, making you better, faster, stronger, jumpier. Runes are very important to having a good time. And over here, we can get the architect who can lock down the castle, which basically means if you get a layout for the castle you like, or if you can if you find a boss and you don't want to go searching for it next time, well, there you go, you can lock it down. But you have to pay half the money you make when you go in again, so you can lose a lot of money that way. It's a sad thing, but that's just the way it is. Barbarian we haven't seen yet, so I'm not going to upgrade them. I will upgrade the mage though, so this means that they get 2 spells instead of 1. I wonder if this will apply to the mage I have right now. And just for the record, and because we are playing as a mage, I'm going to increase my magic damage, and that'll do. Now that I'm here though, I am going to go into here and buy a new sword, which should be very useful in doing more damage. Ignore that jump cut. Okay, we have our new sword. We're tiny and hilarious. This is our new ability. And look, I forgot that the mage doesn't just get 2 abilities, they get several when they become the archmage. We got scythes, we got a giant sword, which is good at a shield, so you get 3. That's incredible.
Hello, hero. Could I borrow your ear for a moment? I'm in need of your help. I used to be a very powerful enchantress, but one day the monsters of this castle invaded my dreams and stole my knowledge. They encased that knowledge in runes, and without those runes I suck at my job. Please, hero, if you find any runes, bring them back to me, and then I'll sell it back to you at a profit.
Oh, thanks. Now here's an example of a rune. Gain the power to, it's like sprint rune, so you get from these you get buffs and abilities. They're extremely useful overall, and you get a total of 5. You can get one for every piece of armor and your weapons. You can have up to 5 buffs at once, and they do stack. These are all like the same runes, but they stack. This will always be the sprint rune, and for every sprint rune you equip, for example, you will have multiple sprints, or multiple jumps, as you can see. You can have up to a quintuple jump. It's a little ridiculous, frankly, but it can be very useful, and it also makes the game a lot more diverse. Now I'm just going to talk to this guy, even though I won't use him.
Greetings, boy.
I am a lady, thank you very much.
Wanna know a cool fact? I'm crazy. This lever here, with a simple pull, I can prevent the castle from changing. This way you can go through exactly what your ancestors went through. Impressed? You should be. How did I build this fantastic contraption? With science, of course, and magic. Mostly magic. But my skills aren't free. If I lock this castle, I will take 40% of all the gold you earn.
No, I don't want to lock the castle and only get 60 gold. I have better things to do, and we are going to head in there and take care of this. And by take care of this, I mean we're going to just head right in there, get right into the thick of it. Now, the last time, in the first episode, we did find the boss room, but I didn't actually get to see it. Or rather, I didn't show it off, because I decided to go exploring a little more and got my ass killed, so maybe in this episode, maybe, who knows, Sadly, this enemy can hit through the wall, and he is a prick. Frostin', I hate him. So yeah, this is going to be pretty much what our routine is going to be as we're playing. We're going to be going through the castle, looking for treasure, getting money, upgrading our stuff, hopefully fighting the bosses, and then once that's done, we will have the ability to, this room sucks, we will have the power to fight the bosses, and then find out what the mystery of this castle is, figure out the story behind this prince dude, and hopefully, well, it's not exactly clear what we're doing in this castle. What our ancestors and our family are doing here. Maybe we'll find that out as we go along. But for now, it's just exploring and trying to avenge our dead ancestors. We got to defeat all the enemies in this room, and we got shot by a missile and exploded. Sadly, the Guard Box 2000 was too much for Lady Stephanie. Oh well. Well, now that she's dead, also you get a title depending on how well you did. Like the Feeble Mage, because I died like almost immediately with Sir Grey. Gallant, you do pretty well. And then you get like Legendary if you do super well. Sir Charles, the Paladin. We're gonna be going with the Barbarian because it's a new class. Walking Tank, hero can take a beating because they have a lot of HP. Or rather, because she has Dextrocardia, she's going to have small HP and a lot of MP. This is ridiculous. I don't think I can take this character in that case because they defeat the purpose of taking a Barbarian. I can't do that. So, I will take Sir Charles the Paladin. And we have 580 gold, so I guess we should increase something. I'm going to, increase our attack. That'll do for now. And also, I'm gonna buy a rune. I always think that a double jump is incredibly valuable, so that is exactly what I'm going to be taking. Now, for every rune you buy, the following ones will become more expensive, so buy the ones you want the most first. I know that might seem obvious at first, but now, like, saying it out loud, but what I mean by that is, you know, maybe wait to see if you will get the abilities you want or not. And we also have the Squire's Helm, so now we get more defense and whatever the other stat was. So now we should last a little longer in there. Our armor also clashes really badly, and I don't like looking at it, but, well, that's the price you gotta pay, I guess. So let us see where we can get in here with our new double jump. Double jumps in general are one of my favorite abilities in games. Here is the giant sword. It's pretty good for blocking projectiles, by which I mean not at all. Mostly it's good at blocking moving enemies, or stationary enemies, and just kind of forcing them to take damage. So that's where they're useful. As you can see, the ability of the Paladin is to basically throw up their shield, and when they do that, the main thing is that it just means you take MP damage instead of HP damage. So it basically can turn your MP bar into extra health as you need it. I am not doing well in this room. This is a pretty challenging room considering. It's not that hard once you figure out the pattern though. I was just kind of being a dolt. Now you can dash past these flames and get through pretty quickly, but I'm gonna just take my time since I've already taken a couple unnecessary hits. And here is a new weapon if you so choose to take it. And I think I will swap out my ability for a scythe. I like the scythe ability, even though it can be hard to aim at times. Now sometimes I find that when you enter a room, you're not in a... So this is this character's trait is electrophobia, which is like fear of chickens. Sometimes chickens will pop out of things, and sometimes they will just run around and you have to kill them. And here we find the boss again. I'm not ready to fight him yet, so I'm just gonna take some stuff and explore around a little more before we confront him. Okay, let's see if I can get past this. That wasn't too bad at all. A lot of the platforming in this game, a lot of the platforming challenges tend to be in the nature of, what's the word I'm looking for here? Timing based. It's all about figuring out when things are moving and how to get in between them. And this game also has an interesting bit of, how do I say this? A shmup feeling to it. Now this leads into the forest. This is the second area of the game. You can tell when you're close to another area, if there's a warp point nearby. Now I'm not going to stay in here very long. I'm just coming in here to get this treasure chest because it's right there. Because if you go into other areas of the game, you can get profit a lot easier than in the main area. So if you're ambitious, you can get upgraded really fast, but I don't want to really break the game. Even though that's not really breaking the game that badly, I just think it's... What is this? Oh, this was a bad idea. This is a random teleport that teleports you to a random part of the castle. Thankfully, it did not teleport me into hell, or the dungeons rather, and I got fairly lucky and it put me in a relatively safe place. Now though, whoa, I almost jumped into that. Jump over there. I try not to throw myself right into the middle of the room, which is why I took the left upper path instead of the middle upper path, which would drop you right into the center of enemies. I think a major part of beating this game effectively, or playing this game effectively, is choosing where you enter a room. You have a much easier time based on the way you swing your weapon and the way most attacks operate if you enter through the bottom areas of a room rather than the top. And I think this part plays into why the dungeons, the hardest area of the game, are downward, like at the bottom of the castle, rather than somewhere else. Going up can also be difficult, but in general the game is structured in such a way that it's more difficult to go down than to go up, than to go left and right. And that's why these rooms in particular can be so challenging, because projectiles can come from off-screen and just kind of blindside you. Also spikes, be careful of spikes. Now here we have a challenge room, which I think we can do just fine. Now here's an example of one of these tough enemies, these like tier 2 enemies, or tier 3 depending. I think it was a tier 3 enemy, and now that we've defeated all the enemies, we get a new rune. Bounty rune, that's a very nice rune. It can get us extra money if we choose to use it effectively, or if we do use it, if we do use it effectively. Eyeballs are scary. They're very scary. Now, if you don't have to run blindly into a room when you enter, you should not, and that's a good idea to figuring out what the traps are. Now, even though I can get over there pretty easily, it's gonna be tough getting back. Even so, I am courageous and I have a double jump, so I'm gonna risk it. And I died for it. Well, that is just fine.
Sir Charles has been slain by a wall turret, oh no.
Oh well. And it's time to choose our new heir, because life goes on. Oh, thankfully we got a barbarian who doesn't have their ability reversed. Sir Hershey is nostalgic. He misses the good old days. Let's see what that means for this character, who is a walking tank. And while we're at it, we're going to increase our attack again, by which I mean we aren't. And we are going to unlock the miner class and extend the size of our castle. That's always fun. Miners are mostly good for just when you want to grind out money, but their stats suck. We'll see them when we see them. I know, it's such a good thing, such a thing to say. I don't even know anymore. Now this is what nostalgic does. It gives you the filter from like the beginning of the game, from the prologue. You get it? It's a little annoying, but whatever. Thankfully we have the oh, okay. Before we get some new armor, we're gonna give this lady her runes and see what it is. This is pretty useful, and I like it, so we're gonna get that. So now coins give more gold, so that means coins overall, it's gonna be more profitable to get them. So it's a pretty good rune to get early on. Now it's time to enter the castle with this ridiculous little filter. I think I'm gonna go for about 3 lives per episode. I think that's gonna be a good, fair thing to do, depending on how long the lives are. Well, the lives are, of course. If, like, I have a life last particularly long, I might I might only do a few lives that episode, whereas if I have a habit of dying, I'm not gonna make an episode only like 5 minutes if I die super fast. Now the nice thing about this game is if you leave a room, enemies stay dead. So you can kind of like poke your head in and take care of enemies without having to really commit to like killing them all in one go. Also, I really like the chakram, whatever. Now, if you look up at my health, if you haven't looked at it already, 210 is a lot of health to get. The Barbarian is very useful in that regard, and if you play careful with them, they can last a really long time, which is why I think they'll especially be the last run I'm gonna do in this episode, or the last thing they're gonna use in this episode. And it's so, I still always forget that those guard boxes can turn around. Now, the nostalgia filter, as you can tell, is kind of annoying because it gets harder to distinguish between things. Everything kind of washes together, and that makes it harder to navigate and move around, and it's just generally kind of a pain in the butt. But it's not that bad. As far as bad traits go, it's not the worst. Some of them can be really difficult to deal with. Some of them are bad or good depending on the circumstances, like the one that reverses your HP and mana pools, depending on what class you are and what you want to do. But nostalgia is generally not too terrible. It could be worse, is what I'm saying here. Doomvis, come back here so I can just kill you, and he tried to bash me in the face to try and kill me. But that's not happening, and here we have another journal entry. Journal entry 3. I have paid my dues and entered the castle proper. That devil Sharon has taken all that I own as payment. He has even pilfered my private coffers. I have left my wife and children with nothing. He says it's the price for any and all who hazard the depths of the castle. He says it is fair. It is fair because of all who have entered, none who have returned. But I will change that. I will be victorious. There is no greater swordsman than I, even amongst my siblings. So the prince is really hoping to find this cure. Are we searching for the same cure as he is? Perhaps. It's not really clear right now. We'll find out, though, as the story goes on. But for the most part, the plot is fairly underlying until the end and in the books. Which is, you know, it's not a bad approach with video games. You don't want the story to be too overbearing in a game like this. But then some people do like a lot of cutscenes and a lot of things in their games, and why am I talking game theory about this right now? I don't know very much about designing games, but I do know what I like. And most of the time I'm fine with things being minimal. I'm not going into the Land of Darkness. That is the hardest area of the game. And when you aren't so well equipped and your stats are low at this point in the game, you'll probably die in a couple hits, and it's just a really bad, fast way to die. It's ridiculous. I'm not gonna die. Why waste the time? That's an old reference if any of you get it. It's pretty old, like 2007, I think? 9 years ago, wow. It's a Retsupre reference. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and for those of you who don't know Retsupre, well, there you go. But back to the game at hand, we are going to keep going up because going down is a dead end for us. We might actually be able to uncover all of the castle this run, or at least all of the castle area, and see what there is to offer. If we can get up there. I need to remember though that I now have a double jump, and I need to use it if I want to be most effective, and here we have found the boss chamber once more. And a blueprint for the knight chestplate, which is the next set of armor we can get for this character. Or, well, for our characters, that is to say. This area has nothing but just a couple of big, muscly dudes. Okay. I tried to use my magic, but I can't. That's the downside for the Barbarian. Their magic sucks. You don't get a lot of mana, and you don't do a ton of damage with your magic. Now this is just funny, isn't it? Now, should I take the damage and just go for it? No, I'm just gonna conserve my health for the time being. Maybe if I beat the boss, I'll, like, reward myself. Now here is a little platforming challenge that's just hard to do, but not impossible. Mixing in all the elements of a bullet hell with a platformer can make things very, very challenging. Now, there's only a little bit left to explore of the castle, it looks like, so I'm going to go take care of that as quickly as I can, and then we're going to go fight the boss. I have a good feeling I'm not going to die in my journey to explore the rest of the castle. Fortunately, I did hit my head on that skeleton, and that kind of hurt. I'm not sure where this room goes, but we can get through it pretty easily. It's just a matter of being patient in this kind of room. And even if we didn't want to, we could always use the double jump and exploit that. What is in this room? I'm actually really curious. Well, it doesn't look like there's anything in this room. Sometimes a room will have a hidden chest in it, and it doesn't look like there is one in here, unless I'm crazy. That's just the nature of a randomly generated dungeon, though, is that they're not always perfect, and sometimes they just have pointless rooms. Now, as for this eyeball, we're just gonna take him out. Rooms like this are fairly challenging, and one of the reasons that I really prefer to have a double jump, because it's always just useful to have a saving grace jump that just to reposition yourself. And also, if you get like the quintuple jump, you can just clear this room and... Oh, I didn't even check to see that this room is a dead end too. Well then. Then I guess we're just gonna go up there and then check around a little bit, and then we should be fighting the boss pretty shortly. And in here we have a jukebox, so that's nothing really we haven't seen already. And another jukebox. This castle has a weird layout. It has like jukeboxes next to each other. Also, we're playing music that isn't really appropriate yet. I do like that the music keeps playing as you explore around, but it will change back to normal if you enter a new area or fight a boss. Actually, I can't really hear it that well because I've turned my audio down because I don't want it picking up on the, I don't want my microphone picking up on the audio too much because that would be a little bit annoying. Well, at least it helps a little with the syncing issues. What syncing issues? I'm not on the Titanic. Ho ho ho! That was terrible. This is a big castle area though, as you can see, and I need to not get reckless. That's another threat in this game. It's easy to get impatient and just, oh boy! And to just suddenly go full Hambo and just get yourself killed, especially against these stronger enemies. Night Bracers, very nice. We beat those enemies, so we're good. There is a treasure chest in here and a guard box. I hate guard boxes because they're tricky. I remember there was an episode of a Let's Play a while ago where I said tricky a lot, and I do not remember what that Let's Play was. Meat! And guard box hit me because I'm an idiot. Now, mana heals and food heals are proportionate, so it heals you a percentage rather than a fixed number. So as you can guess, you know, meat and mana potions are only as effective as your class's maximum HP dictates. So, yeah, just something to keep in mind. Man, this is a huge castle area, but I think we're nearing the end of it. It's actually been a while since I've played Rogue Legacy, so we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Now, in rooms like these, where they have enemies set up to create a more traditional, like, an arrangement of enemies that make it challenging to get around, you kind of want to just kind of take your time with them and take care of enemies one by one to just gradually clear out a room. Now here we have a room where it is possible to get a chest as long as we take no damage. Theoretically, we could do that with the double jump, but I don't trust our odds to get it right now. Yeah, it's not gonna work so well. Just the time. I think it's possible, but it's too risky for my liking. Ow! Stupid box. And according to our map, we only have the upper right area left to explore. And that's our only direction to go in, rather. Always be sure to break stuff. There is an ability that will actually restore your MP if you take the time to break everything. I think I don't remember what it's called, but it's a fitting name. The traits in this game are very well done, and there are several of them. Oh boy, enemies over spikes, I do not like them. But, what can you do? And we got ourselves some meat so we can hang on a little longer. Mages are annoying, but they're not the worst enemies to deal with in this game, especially once you learn their patterns and their various elements. So before we explore the rest of that room, we're just going to run on ahead to the end of this room, which I'm not sure what it'll have, which we're getting a lot of money in. Jeez, $2,000. Will this castle never end? I don't know. Oh boy, there's two muscly big dudes. And they hurt a lot. These guys, it's hard for them to hit you, but when they hit you, holy crap, they hurt. A lot. And this brings us to a transfer area that goes up to the tower, the Maya area of the game. And this will also give us a convenient warp back to the boss fight area so that we can just warp there. Also, as you can see, this room is not... It looks like there's a bottom area. And there's just... You gotta find... There's a floor somewhere here you can drop through, but I'm not sure where it is. Well, you might actually have to be small. There are some areas in the game you can only get to if you're tiny, and so there might be a very small area to get into. By which I mean, you know, tiny tunnel, can't fit in there if you're like a big barbarian like me. And so we've explored the entirety of the castle area. We're gonna warp back and fight that boss and probably get our ass kicked. Alright, it's time for us to head on in and lose our life. Because I'm probably not gonna win. Hey look, it's an eyeball. Hey look, it's Khidr, the Gatekeeper. The first boss of the game is Khidr, a giant goddamn eyeball, who has a big spread pattern. Now, the bosses in this game are a lot more bullet helly than, even the normal enemies in the game. All of the bosses in the game have a big bullet hell type element, in that they're hard to dodge, and that's part of what makes them so challenging. And that eventually, a lot of the time, your best odds for beating a boss is just being able to tank all the hits, because it becomes easier to tank hits than it is to dodge them all. I'm actually doing pretty well. You can see how this would be super challenging on, say, that giant character I had. I'm actually doing pretty well. But then I haven't been getting the worst moves I can get with this particular boss. And I died. I was getting so close, but he hurts so much. It was a noble effort, but we've been slain by Khidr. Well, that's just the way things go sometimes. And I'm afraid that's going to be the end of today's episode, because that life went on for a while. This is going to be a long episode, oh jeez. Well, if you watched to this point, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more of Rogue Legacy and the defeat of Khidr, then I hope to have you join me in the next one. I'm Mr. Devious, or just Deeb. Bye-bye.